What is up, guys? Jose Youngster, the MMAfighting.com here for a special reaction show to a wild weekend of fights as I am literally rolling up my sleeves to talk fist fighting here with Esther Lin and everyone's favorite hipster, everyone's favorite soy boy, Casey Leydon. What's up, guys? We normally do this coffee talk the next day, but considering it's been about 72 hours of chaos in the world of boxing and MMA, how are you guys feeling after this weekend right now?
I'm probably gonna sleep through midday tomorrow, despite the fact that I am supposed to be working in the morning.
Sure. Casey, how you feeling?
I'm kind of over fighting for a bit. Yeah. Just with work and watching fights and being at the gym and getting people punching me, and then seeing people get paid millions of dollars punching other people. And yeah, I think I want to watch a good nature documentary tomorrow, I don't
even think I'm going to look at a screen tomorrow. I'm just going to go lay outside and do the opposite of talk about fist fighting.
Oh,
and just
real nature. That's even
real. I'm going to eat vegan food and lay in nature. So the opposite of watching fist fighting. But, well, where would you guys like to start? Would you guys like to go chronological, or would you like to talk about the fight that's on everyone's minds right now that just wrapped up?
Let's talk about the big fight.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Just moments ago, Tyson Fury finished Deontay Wilder via TKO in the 7th round. Esther, you were at the first one, so I'll start with you. You watched the first fight probably closer than almost anyone on the planet. You, of course, have those award-winning photos you got. What did you make of this performance from Tyson Fury? Obviously, he came in heavier. The big storyline of the last one was his redemption. He lost all this weight. Maybe wasn't ready for Deontay Wilder. Finishes Deontay Wilder, wins the WBC belt, the Ring Magazine belt, and the lineal belt. Immediate reactions following his performance.
My immediate reaction is that Tyson Fury, coming into this, I had thought that Fury definitely had the better, I guess, boxing. Mm-hmm. But you never know. When there's a camp change, you can't tell if it's going to be a good or a bad thing. Obviously it ended up being a good thing for Fury. The first fight obviously was a lot more even, but in this one I felt that Wilder wasn't in it from the second round on.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to judge. It definitely makes me want to see a third fight just in case. I did think Fury just was better overall, but it's hard to see how Wilder, if he could have come back at all, if he didn't, what seems like a ruptured eardrum looks like it happened in the second round, and then got much, much worse in the third round when he got knocked down with that punch right behind the ear. So,
Casey, let's talk about that ruptured eardrum. We were kind of talking before we even started this show. We were trying to figure out, had we ever seen this before? It clearly played a factor, as Esther pointed out. It happened somewhere in the second or third round, but he did get dropped. I believe it was the third round. That's the one I had 10-8. But can you remember a time that we've heard of this in wrestling, but not in a high level boxing match or MMA match, have we?
No. In MMA actual competition, I've honestly never heard of a ruptured eardrum during competition. I'm sure it's happened, but I just haven't heard of it. I've heard about it in wrestling rooms as kind of it's a bit of an asshole move. You kind of just slap on you kind of slap the side and just kind of pushes air into it, but and it kind of just messes with your equilibrium. But I never heard of just straight up exploding and just squirting out blood. So that was. I'm sure it's happened in matches, but I don't think this has ever happened in such a high level important match like this. So it was pretty remarkable. At first I was like, Esther was watching, is like, his ear's messed up. And I thought she meant because we've seen MMA, I'm used to MMA, a cauliflower ear is ripped open or something.
Like the Kimbo Slice Thompson fight when his ear exploded.
So I wasn't thinking well, that's not gonna make his legs wobbly. But then I realized, oh wait, it's actually coming from inside his brain, So.
When your eardrum ruptures, it really fucks up your equilibrium. So
what fucks up equilibrium too? Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury would fuck with your equilibrium.
So So Casey, outside of the ruptured eardrum, as Esther said, maybe run it back again, but that's another conversation we'll have just in case there are any questions. I think Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight in the world. I said that on our preview show. I tweeted immediately, he's the best. I think he's better than Wilder. I think he's better than Joshua. I think Wilder Joshua would be very fun to watch, but I just think Tyson Fury is just the all-around better boxer than both of these men. So what did you make of Tyson Fury's performance in the ring, and do you agree that he's the best heavyweight in the world?
Oh, absolutely. I come into, the first fight, I thought Tyson Fury won the fight despite the getting knocked down and miraculously waking up in the 12th round.
Got knocked down twice that fight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, twice. But I still actually scored the fight for Tyson Fury in that fight. And this fight, the only reason I was really giving Wilder a chance is because, like you said, Tyson Fury's kind of, he's kind of out there, the camp change and everything. So I thought we just maybe wouldn't get the best Tyson Fury, and we did get the best Tyson Fury, I think. And he is clearly just a level above every other heavyweight, even the best heavyweights. He's a level above the best heavyweights right now. And he is very impressive to watch. And I was glad I got to witness it.
I think that right now, if you schedule Joshua versus Fury, I would pick Fury easily.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying. I think they'll probably run it back. I can't even tell you how many times the broadcast said there's a rematch clause, everyone, this and that. So I'm sure they'll get a rematch clause, but it's boxing, so who knows? They should have run it back immediately after their first fight, in my opinion. But Esther, you actually tweeted a lot about the entrances and the pageantry, and just we were both in our Slack channel. We were just boxing is just so much more fun than MMA.
It really is.
You guys have been to the Ryzen shows where they have that pageantry, but as someone who's seen it up close for both, and we were talking I posted the Brent Primus graphic, and in 1 hour he got maybe 600 likes. The Tyson Fury graphic got maybe 8,000 likes in 20 minutes. So the world was clearly paying attention to this fight and not Bellator 240. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Scott Coker. But what did you make of everything we saw leading up to this fight? The promo packages, the interviews, the songs, everything. I mean, I thought it was one of the best things I've seen all year.
There's nothing like big prize fighting. Yeah. So a big boxing match, it doesn't really matter how many big MMA fights I've been to or big MMA events. Nothing feels the same as going to a massive boxing match. It's just when you're walking out and there's a rapper walking out with the fighter, D-Smoke was out there. I mean, you just have people. It's just a different feel. It's even like Joshua, how the pyro comes out and all that stuff. Everything in the production is geared towards this main event. And while it seems very unbalanced for, say, the other people on the card, what it does do is create this immense hype for that one moment. And it really builds up in a way that really, truly makes you feel like you're paying your $80 worth.
Esther, were you having a bit of FOMO?
I was having a ton of FOMO. It was really hard. My mom actually texted me yesterday and asked me why I wasn't at this fight. She's like, you won awards for the first one. Why aren't you at this one? I was like, well, I got a lot of work to do this weekend. Plus, it's not on Showtime. But, it was one of those moments where every time I saw something on the screen, I was like, oh, I want to take a picture of that. Oh, I want to take a picture of that. It was actually pretty much killing me that I couldn't be there to photograph it.
So, Casey, same question. Why does Dana White hate fun?
I was always told the UFC stands for Ultimate Fun Championship, so I don't get it. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't know why Dana White hates fun. The weird thing is, I'm sure he was at the event. I'm sure he was there. This is awesome. I definitely don't want to do this for my company, so I just don't get it. I don't know. He doesn't like fun. I'm sure if you ask him about Michelle Pereira, he doesn't like all the flippy fun stuff either. It's that's Dana White. No fun.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed everything. I also think, in my own personal, aesthetically, the entire production looks phenomenal. The camera work, the entrances, the big jumbotrons, everything. I remember watching Mayweather Pacquiao and kind of being underwhelmed by the actual setup of everything. It just looks like they just budgeted their stuff for maybe to use as little money as possible for the actual ring, but everything else was great. But I loved what I saw in this fight. But anything else you guys want to say about this epic performance from Tyson Fury to really cement a long weekend of fighting? Esther, I'll start with you.
Well, I think you were asking about the immediate rematch, and I actually just don't want to see the immediate rematch. I think Deontay's going to need some time to heal from this. He definitely has some concussion. He definitely has some injuries. Deontay Wilder, I meant. He definitely has a concussion. He definitely has some injuries. I would really prefer to see Tyson Fury face Anthony Joshua. That is the fight I want to see. I don't want to see anything else right now. Let's make it happen.
Casey, same question then. What do you want next for both of these men?
Oh, definitely Joshua Fury. And for Wilder, he'll probably take two, 3 fights, whatever, fight some respectable heavyweights. Sure. And there'll be time to run it back. I think there'll be time to run it back. And I just overall, I really enjoyed the production. I'm not super into the little. They had the corner cams a lot, and it felt like I just felt like you were in the damn ring. It was really awesome. When they went to that kind of like 50-yard line view, kind of traditional view, I thought it was like this is kind of boring. But when they went to those corner cams and like you were just right there, it's like they had the blood splatter on the camera. It was fun. It was definitely it was an enjoyable experience to watch it.
Plus the MGM Grand is my favorite venue for boxing. There's not a bad seat in the house. They decorated it really well. I thought that they had those hanging lights. I don't know if you saw when they were walking out, they had these like hanging lanterns. And then just the walkout, everything, just the way the MGM Grand feels, it feels like everyone is on top of each other. You feel it's like a little claustrophobic.
It feels like it's gonna pop at any moment. Like when there's a crescendo, it feels like the roof is gonna explode.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love about watching a fight there, and I'm so glad that they chose to do this fight there.
You know what? Me and Jose had a very a close, before we were coworkers. We had a moment together watching an amazing big fight at the MGM Grand. Maybe one of the last big ones for MMA. It was what was that? Connor Nate.
Diaz McGregor won when we go, hi, I'm Jose, hi, I'm Casey, and then by the end we were like, what is happening right now? It's like beer was just raining down from the rafters on it.
It was kind of fun because the UFC actually, normally we're kind of stuck in the media room or you're on press row, but actually they gave us seats to just kind of sit and watch with the crowd. And since there's no bad seat, it was just, we were kind of almost like fans just watching with everyone. It was like, I just remember, I love this venue. But real quick, before we move on to mixed martial arts, how about just I don't see MMA fans just bitching about boxing. Think about like 5 years ago, pre Mayweather McGregor kind of talk. Before we did that, everyone went to crossover stuff. Like, I was gonna make a joke. It's like, oh, those guys can't stop a double leg though.
Sure.
But like, I just think that MMA fans have now kind of given up that battle, going, oh, boxing's not real fighting. I just don't. Just look at if you just look at our numbers on our social media, it's not even. It's.
You can't deny that it's just a bigger event. I can't. I think a lot of those voices before, either I've muted them all or they've finally decided to shut up. But I'm so glad that MMA Twitter decided not to rain on this parade.
Well, it's also like. We had the Klitschko brothers are obviously phenomenal boxers, but their run at the top of the division was not the most pleasing to watch. And I really think having these characters like Fury and Wilder to sell this big fight, it's like an ESPN Plus, Fox co-promote thing. So it's like the fact that these big networks finally got to sit down and make a fight when it should happen. That's fantastic. It's also the heavyweights. And interestingly enough, for years, the heavyweight champion of the world was always called the baddest man on the planet. But now you have Max Kellerman, who's a longtime boxing commentator. I don't know if you guys heard this in the lead up. He said normally this fight would determine the baddest man on the planet, but Stipe Miocic is the baddest man on the planet, basically. Like, he said that. He's like, both of these guys are losing a real fight. This is just for the best heavyweight boxer in the world. So it's interesting that they actually noted that before, like moments before they fought. In terms of the actual heavyweight division, Andrew Ruiz is still out there. If he's still wanting to lose weight, Andrew Ruiz could fight Deontay Wilder. I would not hate that fight. You got Dillian White out there. I think he won on the undercard of the Ruiz-Joshua rematch. So heavyweight division is looking fantastic right now. As long as Joshua fights Fury next, any of the other people under them can fight whoever they want, and I will be happy. But moving along, there was Bellator. We're going to talk about Bellator just as a big group, and then we can move on to the UFC. Bellator 239 happened on Friday. Ed Ruth got upset. There were obviously other fights on that card that we can talk about. I didn't catch a lot of it. Bellator 240, like I said, Brent Primus won by submission. Beck Rawlings picked up a big win, called out Heather Hardy after. Props to her. And then Bellator Dublin happened. I don't know if any of you guys watched that card. I watched the entire card. It was only a 3 or 4 round fight. But Casey, I'll start with you. What'd you make of Bellator's weekend this week?
I did not watch their regional card in Europe because I was watching some Ultimate Fighting and some boxing. So I just literally didn't have the hours to watch it yet. But I did see a couple of fights from the
239.
239.
Yeah.
And watch that Timothy Johnson knockout.
Yeah.
Over the big upset. It was over Tyrell Fortune. Beautiful setup, beautiful knockout. Wasn't a fluke thing. It was just even like before that, like Timothy Johnson just looked in better shape. Was moving, his hands were better, and that was a great knockout. And actually, at least for that night, what a bad night for Bellator as far as like their investment. So if Ed Ruth losing a competitive match, but still losing, and then Tyrell Fortune getting slept. So just a bad night for prospects for Bellator. But that's my thoughts on Bellator really this weekend.
Esther, same question. I don't know how much of Bellator you watched, but what did you make of their weekend as a whole? That's technically 3 fight cards in 2 days, but we're just going to keep it.
Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. If you get a chance, find the Ricky Bendejas knockout. Awesome knockout, one of the best knockouts of the year. It's a great knockout.
You just stole what I was going to talk about.
I suck.
Ricky Bendejas looked awesome. He continued his role of knocking out SBG prospects over there in Dublin. And actually, if you want to keep up on or hear from all of the fighters who won this weekend, you should look up all of P.T. Carroll's post-fight interviews because he did all of that great work for us over there in Dublin.
I could feel his anxiety through our Slack channels. Just how stressed he was shooting videos. But the actual Bellator Dublin card, I watched all those fights. It happened. It was there. Like the Charlie Ward fight was basically a Charlie Ward fight. His opponent was completely overmatched. The Aaron Chalmers lost a lot. I saw a lot of people complaining about this. Like Austin Klein basically just wrestled him for 3 rounds. Like Aaron Chalmers maybe had like 10 seconds at the beginning of every round, and then Chalmers would just like take him down and just Ben Askren him for 3 rounds. And a lot of people complained, but he lost fair and square. Like he just got beat up. Like I didn't think it was boring at all. But it being in Dublin, a lot of the European journalists that I was seeing or people there were complaining about it being boring. So maybe it just came off boring live, but watching it through tape, I didn't have a problem with Austin Klebb's gameplay whatsoever. And then the Leah McCourt fight also happened. People were saying a big win with her maybe could shoot her up towards the title contention and fight Cyborg. Don't want to see that happening after watching this fight. I think she's like 3-1, 4-1, but she also wasn't supposed to be the main event. They lost out on 2 other fights. So, but she won nonetheless. Solid night all around, I guess, for Bellator the last 2 days, but overshadowed by the boxing match. And of course, this next card we're going to talk about, UFC Auckland, the main event. Casey, I'm going to start with you because I'm going to bring you back to UFC Rio Rancho, where you said Lando Venata, Yancy Medeiros was guaranteed bonus. Didn't happen. You said the same thing this weekend for Felder and Hooker. They had 2 extra rounds, and they did indeed get the bonus. So what did you make? Before we get into the scorecards and who you thought won, what did you make of what we watched inside the octagon in Auckland?
It was an early fight of the year contender. It was awesome. It was everything that we thought it was going to be. It was just like I said in the previous show, if these guys fight 10 times, each guy will win 5 times. And I think that's what we saw tonight. Not one guy isn't significantly better. One guy's just there were just 2 terrific fighters, perfectly matched up at their points in their career. And unfortunately, someone had to lose. But even in a loss, I don't think Felder even. I mean, technically he lost, but I don't think anyone really sees it as a true loss. But it was an incredible fight.
Esther, I'll jump to you. Casey brought it up. Paul Felder did come up short, split decision. The image of him holding his dad's ashes up to his head while they're reading the scorecards, I was like, I didn't care. I obviously don't care who wins. I was watching it unbiasedly, but I was like, in my mind, I was like, this is going to be really sad if he loses this really close decision after like possibly like that prime of his career. And then so what did you make of the performance, and what did you make? I'll start with you. What did you make of the scorecards at the end?
So the performance, I thought, from both men was impressive. I actually kind of have a hard time remembering. I know that Felder's win over Barboza recently was very contentious. People kind of felt like Barboza had won that. And he's just always in these kind of like close, just brutal battles. And for me, scorecards wise, I felt like it was pretty crazy that all three judges scored it differently. I agreed with Hughes. I think it was just 1-3-5 for Hooker and 2-4 for Felder. But it basically it did come down to the fifth round for me. For me, the momentum kept shifting. And if you look at the stats round by round, you can tell that they were shifting. And then the fifth round, it really just depends on what you value. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, takedowns shouldn't count if you don't get to do anything with them. But he also had back control. There was a lot more than just a takedown. So
that's what the broadcast
I gave the fifth round to Hooker.
Like, I couldn't believe the broadcast. I can't remember who said it, but he was like, it was a takedown, but nothing happened. I don't think that'll count. And I was like, that's not how this works, sir. But Casey, what did you make of the scorecards?
I did score for Hooker. I scored I think 1, 3, and 5 for Hooker. And the fifth round, it wasn't. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, takedown." It wasn't the takedown that won the round. It was the fact that he actually had his back. He had a semi-dominant position. I think he had side control, and he was landing decent kind of ground and pound. Not for very long, but for enough. And it was a super close round. And if we had, I would have loved to give this fight a draw. To be honest, I felt give it a draw, but give them both their win money, their win purses, because. Just to get a little, how the business works. If it's a draw, the promoter wins because they don't have to pay an extra. They don't have to pay extra.
Yeah, money. They both just get show money,
which is I think.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
But so I'll ask both of you this. I'll start with Esther before we get into what's next. You guys both like elbows. What did you make of the elbows on display in this fight?
Oh, fantastic. Some really great elbows. I would have loved to see more. I was surprised there were none on the ground, but they didn't really get there too much. So I wanted, actually, it happened a couple of times, but I wanted to see more just because Dan Hooker has the nicest step in knees, and I would have liked to see
he really
a couple of really clean ones. But then I just would have been more jealous that I wasn't taking a photograph of it. So.
Casey, same question. As someone who's taken your step in knees at various points when we're covering fights, what did you make of the elbows and knees on display that you brought up specifically in the preview show?
I said this fight would be awesome, and it would end with someone with an eyeball hanging out, and that almost happened with Paul Felder. I mean, just the problem why people love boxing has stories. There's the fights are longer, so they kind of go up and down, and in 5-round fights. We don't usually get that, but we got it tonight. There was a wave, and there was a story to this fight. And that's why it just felt so good. After that first round, I mean, you saw Felder's eyes swelling up. I was like, oh boy, this fight might be over pretty soon. But somehow Felder kind of was stronger after his eye got all messed up, and I was waiting for that step in knee knockout, but it never came. He did throw it a couple of times, but yeah, it was just a great fight, and really it was to me the difference was. Felder's, I guess, Hooker's kind of range and accuracy versus Felder's power. I thought that was the big clash, and it was just I don't know, it was just a great fight. And like after a while, like when I watch these fights, I'm watching kind of as a media member. I got to analyze it, but like I kind of hate that. I want to be like, God, I just want to go, fuck, this is awesome, kind of for a while. But I was just just very rarely. I was really hyped for this fight, and it just delivered, and that feels good as a fan.
Yeah.
So leading up to this, go ahead. What were you going to say, Esther?
I was going to say it was exactly the fight that I thought it would be, and it turned out to be actually even better than I was hoping. So that's great.
And leading up to this fight in our preview show, I said that looking at these two men's past fights, they can be a little too tough for their own good. Paul Felder's fought through like punctured lungs, broken arms. He's had a doctor's stoppage loss, and then Dan Hooker's body just gave out on him in the Edson Barbosa fight. I think it could have been called even sooner before he just fell down on his knees. But Esther, you of course saw the photo. You made the graphic on Instagram. They went straight to the hospital, both men. So Paul Felder hinted at retirement possibly, saying it's hard to leave his daughter for so long when he's in these fight camps, and took another beating. He obviously doesn't need to fight for the money. He has that sweet UFC commentating job. So we'll put Paul Felder's future aside because he doesn't even know. But what would you like to see next from Dan Hooker? He called out Justin Gaethje. I like that fight as a high-level martial arts fight. I just don't know if Justin Gaethje takes it.
I don't know if Justin Gaethje takes it. I like the fact that he decided to call out somebody that probably most people don't want to call out, because you know that it's going to be a brutal fight, and he just came off of a brutal fight. I'm going to step back just a second. I don't think Paul Felder's going to retire. I think that's the emotions talking from that moment. It's very hard to make that decision right then and there. But going back to Dan Hooker, that would be a really fun fight, but I actually don't think that's logically the next step. Plus, I think Gaethje doesn't take it.
Casey, same question. What would you like from? I guess we could talk about. Well, what were you pointing at?
Oh no, pointing at. I know Hooker Cerrone. That's the.
You do like storylines. Paul Felder is a training partner and a good friend of Cowboy. Paul Felder said he'll fight anyone, but except for Anthony Pettis or Cowboy. So I know you like your storyline, so I don't hate it. And Hooker also has.
I think Hooker's gonna need a little time to recover from that fight, and then give Cerrone an actual proper rest where his face heals up and his head is set. But I think Hooker Cerrone is an amazing fight. I get Hooker calling out Gaethje. That's a smart call out. It ain't gonna happen.
Hooker's also called out Dustin Poirier after his last fight. So who knows who he fights, but all I know is Dan Hooker's not been in a boring fight, I don't think, ever. But there were other fights on this card, but I know we want to keep this condensed for this preview show. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Angela Hill got another big win on the undercard. I think it's like her fourth win in like 11 months or something crazy, 6-fight total. Jimmy Krug got an impressive submission win in the co-main event. So Esther, I'll start with you. Anything else on this card really jump out?
Yeah. So Angela Hill for sure stood out. Priscilla Cachoeira got to come off of her 3-fight losing streak, right?
I count that loss to Valentina as 2 losses.
2 losses. Sorry, 2-fight losing streak. But she definitely felt like she was on the chopping block. That kind of emotion she had when she knocked out Shanna Dobson. You felt that. And for sure, actually, then we'll stick with the straw weights here. Jan Shannon and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Watching Karolina walk back to her corner at the end of the 3rd round, just sit down on her stool, and it looked like she was crying. That was hard because it felt like she was given everything she could, but she could not beat Jan. So,
Casey, same question. What really stood out to you on the rest of this card outside of the main event?
I think in the preview show I said I love the Karolina Jan matchup. I love the vet versus prospect, and this was the fight. I would say I wasn't super impressed with Jan. I think she won. I thought some fights or whatever, but like, I'm not convinced she's like gonna be fighting for a title within the next year or so. But man, Karolina is like, she's not in 4 losses in a row. This was not a good performance from her, and I'm kind of I don't know what the UFC is gonna do with her, to be honest. I mean, 4 losses in a row, not too many people get that. But the fight the fighter I was really impressed with is Brad Riddell and his victory over Anton Chigurh.
Phenomenal
Sorry,
performance.
no.
Mustafayev.
Mustafayev. Great fight, great performance, and dude, that guy just looks so scary. Mustafayev, he just looks like a serial killer. That guy is like,
Sure does.
that guy is like, but he looks so nice too, because I think there was one point where Brad Riddell was kind of doing like a little fist bump, and then Mustafayev like threw a punch instead, and they're like, oh, my bad, I thought we were just doing a little little fist bump. But I know, great performance from Brad Riddell, and is he a 55? Yeah, he's 55 or so. Actually, yeah, I'm really interested. See what's next for Brad Riddell. I think he's ready for a top 15 guy. I'm not sure who, but anyone should be excited.
Well, who did he call out?
Yeah, he called out.
He said he wants to fight. I believe he called out Alexander Hernandez. And said I think I did better than Kevin Lee. And I was like, I think Kevin Lee actually stopped him in the second round. So you didn't do better than Kevin Lee. But lightweight's pretty stacked. I'll see this cat fight anyone. I know they cut to Izzy and he was like, oh my God, what a performance, like this and that. So I think he has all the makings of a superstar. A.K. Lee, our resident bad boy, he tweeted that, and I couldn't agree more. In terms of Carolina, Tisha Torres also has a 4-fight losing streak. They could fight. Maybe, I don't know.
That's mean.
It is very mean.
That's mean, but it's probably a fair fight for them at this point in their careers. It's really not fair to put Carolina up against another rising prospect. Same with Tisha. You want to give them a chance to bounce back.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
what?
I like to get, instead of giving Carolina a rising prospect, just give her maybe a declining prospect.
Declining prospect.
I'm not sure. I don't want to name any names because that'd be kind of rude. But
Angela Hill did say she would fight Carolina, win or lose. She would like that fight because she's always wanted to fight Carolina. Don't hate it.
Book it.
But anyway, we could talk about fist fighting all the time, but it's been a long weekend, as we've said at the beginning. Tyson Fury won. He was obviously the biggest superstar. So anyone else want to add something before we close it up?
Victor Henry's knockout.
Yes.
Of Kanehara in Ryzen was great.
I was going to say, we also had a Ryzen card.
Yeah, I know. Last night around midnight when I got the notification on my phone, they're like, Ryzen is starting. I was like, oh. And then this morning when I woke up, it was like, Ryzen's still on. I was like,
It's still
it was a lot. It's been like a continuous stream of fights.
And we still have fights every weekend until April.
Until the end of time, yes. And a big high five to Deontay Wilder's corner for throwing in the towel.
Yes.
At first, I think everyone thought the ref stopped it, but then you quickly realized you saw the towel fly in, and great job. Actually, I was watching the fights with Esther, and she was commenting. It's like actually maybe a couple moments before the fight actually got stopped. She's like, I don't understand why Wilder's corner is letting him fight, and then the fight got stopped, and then we found out. So like, just good job saving a fighter for another day.
Yeah. I wish we could see that more with in MMA. I wish I would we already talked about this before in previous shows, but Macy Barber, I wish that fighters' corners would consider this more. And I don't know how much of that comes with the fact that Deontay and Tyson are going to be making a flat rate. No matter if they win or lose, they make the same amount of money. There isn't besides the loss on your record, there's no financial hit from taking that loss. But for most UFC fighters, taking that loss means a lower paycheck the next time you fight. That's half the pay you got for this fight. I mean, there's so many factors. It's really hard for people to quit, but we should be more okay with it. We should be allowing fighters to quit for their safety and their health.
Well said. I think that they hit the nail on, after it happened, I think a lot of people, there was a lot of confusion and stuff. I can't remember who was speaking. It was a woman's voice, but she was like, let's not forget Deontay Wilder is a son and a husband and a father, and maybe he wants to walk his daughter down the aisle someday. So let's save his brain health for the future. And I was like, well said, whoever that was. I'm sorry if I forgot your name, but Like I said, it's been a long weekend of fist fighting. We finally have a little bit of a break until UFC Norfolk next week, where Joe B fights Davidson. Did you guys watch that promo, by the way, on Joe B and Davidson?
Joe B and his artwork?
And then all of a sudden it cuts to Davidson like rolling around like a hill on a water buffalo, like bareback. I was like, I wanted this fight already, but now I want this fight even more, just because of this complete clash of styles, personality-wise.
No, it's going to be great for that. And I liked that we got to see so much of Benny.
Yes. Oh, I know we've been going for over 30 minutes, and I was like, hey, guys, let's keep this under 20. But, oh, my God, those promos I had to watch of Paul Felder in the theater, which is a great storyline. It's a great storyline, but then they just made it so cheesy. They had him like fighting is like the theater. Like, no, it is not. If you forget a line, you don't get knocked out. And when you're acting,
this whole lead up was weird, because then they were like, Dan Hooker was like, he made fun of my last name. That's the name I'm gonna give my children. It's my father's last name. And I was like, this is what we're building this fight on right now. Yeah. Paul Felder made fun of your last name.
What? Yeah, why can't they just? I don't know what it is about MMA and why they can't go on what a lot of boxing matches still are able to market themselves as. These are just the best fighting the best. Can't we just say that these guys have very similar skills and they're very evenly matched, and this is going to be an exciting fight? That should be enough.
Badass motherfuckers fighting badass motherfuckers.
Hey, man. You said it better than anyone. But we're going to wrap this up. Stay on our YouTube page. Go watch all of Pete Carroll's excellent post-fight videos. He really, I don't think that man slept in a week. I could feel the anxiety through the internet. So do him a favor and go watch all of his excellent work. You can find us on Twitter at MMA Fighting, on Instagram at MMA Fighting, DOTCOM. But do all that after you watch PT's vids. For Esther, I don't know what side you're on the screen. For Esther, that's Casey. I'm Jose. We're out.